of that debt. Once again, the state admits to $140 billion. According to the state's attorney general, we would only be responsible for 3% of that. That's a manageable figure even for a small rural state with 1 million people. We wouldn't be the smallest state or least populous, and our economy on the first day would be about the size of the state of New Mexico and only up from there because we'd have a constitutional framework that encouraged business and enterprises, and we have all the resources in the world used responsibly with which to fund future programs.
I'm just trying to put this business-wise. Tax-wise, how do you pay? It's going to be because retail people are going to be in the South, right? So sales tax dollars are going to be smaller, I would think, because there's less of us. So we come back to like Oregon does on property. I mean,
well,
how are we going to fund all this?
Well, first of all, I would favor a Prop 13 type of fare. That's absolutely true. And when you embrace conservative fiscal values, then you see that with increase in business activity, you generate more revenue. More revenue puts more money in people's pocket. People who have money buy property, that property increases in value, and property tax rates go up. I would see that if we had a slightly lower sales tax rate than Lower California, you'd see a traffic jam from people coming into Butte County to buy things in Butte County stores, and that puts money in people's pockets, and that raises the value of everything they own, and then there's more tax revenue generated. Those are the types of things. Also, the PILT money, restoring lumber, mining, all of that activity. In addition to that, we suggested to Tehama County, since there's a tremendous amount of water that passes through their county and they don't get any benefit from that water, that they place a water conveyance fees on the Southern California water exporters and make $50 an acre foot doing that. There are a great many ways that we can fund the new state, and I could go on with that for hours. Right. But what we also need, we need people such as yourself to give us workable ideas so that this will work for everyone, and those ideas are here. We're not stupid people. There's a ton of talent in this room.
Yeah, no, I agree. My concern, we talk about it as we go on. I'm just concerned as more people come into the state of Jefferson, our roads aren't very big, right? And our small towns, our infrastructure, we have to fund all that.
If you have a free state, people are going to want to come here.
Sure.
To manage growth is going to be a problem, but once again, how can you say I've got mine, but I don't want anybody else to have theirs?
Well, it happens every day.
It does.
That's what we do every day here.
Yeah, it does. But I think we don't lack the intelligence to manage that problem correctly.
What happens when? I'm sorry, I'm taking all this time up. I'm just kind of curious because this intrigues me. Anyways, what happens when? Cause I grew up in an area that was a beautiful place to live, kind of Northern California, very close to San Francisco. They all showed up there. We had this beautiful ag town, and now it's full of people that don't think like I do, because they can afford to live there. They can afford to buy ground there. They can afford not to, buy 1,000 acres, plop a house down there, and kick everybody off of it, and just let it go. And how do you stop that? I mean, we can't take our ball and go home, so how do we deal with that?
You can't stop it now, and it's happening now. What's happening now is that the rural areas of Northern California are being rapidly
So then
emptied.
why put a new state then? That's what I'm saying. What are we going to gain by our new state?
Well, what we're going to gain is liberty, first of all. And what we're going to gain is an economic environment where, I mean, my child left because there's no job he can get here that'll pay his pay. We gain representation. We gain the ability to have some direction over the tax money that's taken from us every day. We gain control of the debt that's mounting with reckless abandon. We have to gain control of these things because any other plan doesn't address any of those issues. And quite frankly, as I squint and look forward, as California piles up $1 trillion, $2 trillion, $3 trillion, $4 trillion, the train is going to crash. The boat is going to go down. I mean, that's inevitable. The Confederates learned in 1863 you can't print your way out of trouble. You can't spend your way out of debt. Those are the things we can gain, and hopefully along the way, with that constitutional structure, we can create a place that's a good place to live for our children and our grandchildren, where it serves our interest and our morals.
I'll take more time, sorry. Thank you.
No worries. I got one question for you. The past efforts to split the state, one was more successful than all the rest. Have you thought about why that one at least got to the assembly?
Yeah, because everybody wants it. I mean, in 1992, 27 out of 31 counties voted overwhelmingly to leave the state of California. The only reason that one didn't get through the Senate is, as I understand it, there were some personal headbutting issues between Stan Statham and the President Pro Tem at the time, and he would not allow it to leave committee. Now, if that happens to us, then we have standing, we have harm, and we have remedy for a federal challenge. And our implied threat is if you allow us to separate peacefully, you can keep doing things the way you always have. And if you don't, we'll pull the rug out from under California politics forever and reinstitute the federal model of government in California. And with 40 rural senators, we could vote ourselves out.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Please, no clapping. We'd like to move forward, and if you clap for everyone, it's just going to drag on, and someone's not going to get to speak because we have other timed items. And we'll just get right to the public participation. This is only an informational item. The board's not going to take action. And the other thing we're going to do is a minute and a half for each speaker. I'm going to call the
overtaxed and overregulated them into failure. We've never witnessed a business exodus like this in our state history. This exodus has cost us thousands of good jobs, millions of dollars in tax revenue that must be made up by those who are left behind. And because our taxes must go up, because Sacramento won't restrain its growing bureaucracy, it forces out good businesses. The state loses even more jobs, and of course this leads to more taxes, and the cycle repeats itself again and again. But doing something that doesn't work over and over again is the mark of insanity. I'm fed up with the insanity. I support the state of Jefferson, and I ask that you do whatever you can to support your constituents who want the new state and a new beginning, and leave the foolishness in Sacramento to those who created this mess. Thank you.
Larry Dunn, please, no clapping. And then after that, Terry Raposa. Mr. Dunn.
Well, good morning. I support the State of Jefferson initiative because the politics of Sacramento are clearly dominated by liberal representatives of the crime-riddled, polluted, water-starved big cities of Southern California. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of Sacramento forcing its one-size-fits-all legislation on us and taking our money and our resources to pay for their foolish mistakes. So we're here to ask for your support. Please. Thank you.
Terry, please refrain. Terry Raposa, and then after that, Red Smith.
To answer Mr. Wall's question about it being hard, the last county that voted this in 3-1 was Yuba County. Roger Abay made a very interesting observation and comment. He said, after 6 weeks of studying this, as we have done as a board, the only comment I've gotten is it's too hard. However, I believe, this is Roger Abay's words, not mine, I believe that in 1964, 90% of the people thought civil rights would never happen. Really and truly, it's too hard. The other thing to answer about what's going on as far as the money, to answer Mr. Lambert's question, the real deal is that in a conversation on October 22nd with Jim Nielsen, we had a very frank conversation. He was concerned about a $90 billion debt. I said, do you know what it is today, Jim? He said, no. I said, today is October the 22nd, 2013. At 10:33 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, the debt was $417,749,949,149. I talked to Congressman LaMalfa. We talked about the debt because Paul Ryan had told us that it's 90 trillion with a T as far as unfunded liability in the United States. I asked the congressman, is it fair to say we could have $1 trillion in debt in California? The answer was, not only is it feasible, it's probably low. We found out, as Mr. Baird pointed out, it's $875 billion. Gentlemen, California doesn't have any money. It's that simple. So really and truly, as in sitting down with the congressman for about an hour and a half at a fundraiser.
Please conclude.
I'm just going to finish this up very quickly because I think it's important for you to know. I asked both of them, including several other senators and several other congressmen and several other state people, assembly, if you've got a better idea, there's 350,000 people that will join you. Have you got a better idea than this? The general answer is, and you can go on record with this, the answer is no, we don't have a better idea. Keep doing what you're doing. If it's good enough for Congress, if it's good enough for some of our state senators, and your leaders and our leaders, should be good enough for us.
Red Smith. And after that,